Where does our country win? So here's the story. We're going to go, and I'm going to finish up with what I'm telling you because it's so easy. We're going to start with trade. When I came down that escalator with my wife, Melania, and I came down, and I said, it takes guts to do this. I mean, we're running for president. It takes guts. I'm not a politician. And about almost 8 months ago, we came down the escalator, and I took a deep breath, and I talked about illegal immigration, and I talked about trade. So I started with trade. That's where the Carrier comes in, and the Ford comes in, and then the Bisco comes in. And by the way, what I would do with Carrier is I would say the following. Folks, enjoy your stay in Mexico. Build yourself a really nice plant. They're gone. But I say, build yourself a really nice plant. But let me just give you a little clue. Every single air conditioning unit that you make, forget about free trade. There is no free trade with this group. There is no free trade because these other countries, look, the eggheads, and we're all smarter than most of these eggheads. These people say free trade. I love the concept of free trade. The problem is to have free trade, you need smart leadership. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And we have very, very dumb leadership. We have dumb leaders. And I'll get the approval for this, because in theory we need the approval, in theory. But I'll get the approval. I'm going to say, look, here's the story. Every single air conditioning unit that you make, every single unit that comes across the border, and it'll be hard to get things across the border by the time every single unit that comes across the border, you're going to pay a 35% tax on that unit. Okay? 35%. And I'll tell you what's going to happen. We're going to get a call, and they'll go and see a lobbyist, but I'm self-funding my campaign. I'm putting up my own money. So the lobbyists haven't done anything for me. And then they're going to have special interest guys call me up. I have no interest. I'm working for you folks. And they'll have everybody, but it doesn't matter. Look, I'm not doing this because I need it. I'm doing it to make America great again. We are going so down. And the politicians will never do it because they'll say, oh, it's wrong, we're going to do it. And within 10 minutes, somebody will have called them that contributed to their campaign. You see the money they spend? See the millions in negative ads about me that are mostly phony ads? I turned on at Doral. I had the Doral World Championship. You saw that the other day, Cadillac. And Adam Scott won. Great tournament. A lot of you watched it. And every time I turn, I see a commercial about Trump. And so much of it is false. It's so false. And by the time you get them to admit it's false, the election's over. Then they'll say, I'm sorry, it was false. It's like Ted Cruz, a good guy was Ben Carson, like he did to Ben Carson. What he did was unbelievable in Iowa. He says, Ben Carson quit the race. Vote for us. Ben Carson quit the race. Ben Carson never quit the race. He wouldn't have done that. I know him. He doesn't quit. But they said Ben Carson left the race. He went home. He's not here. Vote for us. And they convinced many people, probably thousands of people, to vote for Lion Ted Cruz. Okay? And Rubio's worse. I mean, this guy is such a scoundrel. You look at his past with his credit cards. You look at the driveway that he built out of funds that don't belong to him. You look at the things that Cruz did. I mean, I'll tell you what he's done, I cannot believe he got away with it, but we'll expose it and see what happens. I mean, we'll see what happens. But this guy is a disaster, on top of which he's a choker, because when Chris Christie, who endorsed me, by the way, when he went after him, it's true, I thought he was going to melt. I was all set to grab him, by the way, with this very powerful hand. He made it up. He made that up. I call him a lightweight. So he said, let's see, how do I attack Trump? Let's see. He's got, everything's nice. I'm pretty good, 6'3". He even called me 6'2", but that's okay. But he said, you have small hands. I do? I looked, I said, I do? I shook hands. It's very funny. Get him out of here. Get him out. You really say, where do these people come from? Where do they come? So here's the story. Look, here's the story. We're dealing with dirty, rotten liars. These politicians are liars. They're dishonest people. They do commercials. They're only good at one thing, and that's getting elected. That's the only thing they're good at. I know them all my lives. I know more about politicians than anybody. They're really, I'll tell you, they're not taking us where we have to be taken. So I came down. I talked about trade. Trade, don't worry about it. We got endorsed by Carl Icahn. That's like getting endorsed by Brian France. That's like, great business people. In fact, Brian would be very good. Hey, we could have Brian take over one. Maybe. How about Japan? Brian, you negotiate with Japan. We're going to be just fine. But, I have the best business leaders in the world. They want to do it. They don't want money. They don't want to get paid. They want to do it. They love the country, even though some of them are not nice people. Who cares? But they love the country. They want to do it. And they don't want anything. They want to do it. And they know how bad it is. Hey, I like China. I like Mexico. But their leaders are too smart for our leaders. Mexico's killing us at the border. They're killing us with trade. With trade, Mexico is a mini version of China. With China, they send their stuff over here. I have a friend, he's a great manufacturer. He goes out to manufacture things. He is so good, his stuff is so good, he can't get it in China. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be free, right? Free, flows. When he gets it in China, he has to pay a massive tax. Now, they call it a tariff. It sounds a little bit less onerous. But he pays a big tax. And he comes and tells me. I see him about 2 months ago. He said, boy, dealing with China's murder. You can't get your stuff in. And he's not even saying this as part of a campaign. He said, you can't get your stuff in. And when you do, we have to pay a big tax. I know a guy bought an airplane. He can't bring the airplane back in to China. I mean, I don't want to mention big items, but big items are important because they employ a lot of people. He can't get his airplane into China because they're charging a massive tax. You look at trucks. They have a tax on trucks going into China. We just let everyone come in free. Folks, we've got to have smart trade now. We can't do this. We can't lose $505 billion with trade deficits. And I know what's going on because I'm in North Carolina a lot. In fact, I have a lot of my people that work for me. Where are my people? Where are my people? Where are they? They work for me. Where are they? I love these people. They are doing the best job. Where's Gavin? Gavin! I love Gavin. What a job. I'm paying him too much money. That's my general manager. I just saw him backstage. He says, Mr. Trump. I said, no signing because I have to get on. We got a lot of people. He walks up. Hi, Mr. Trump. Could you sign this for me? That's Gavin, right? But anyway, Gavin's here someplace, so we love Gavin. Where's Gavin? I love you, Gavin. Are we doing well? Do we love North Carolina? Good. Great job. One of the best golf courses in the state. One of the best golf courses in the state, and it's a tremendous success. And the whole project is a tremendous success. Thanks, Gavin. Good to have you. So I came down, I talked about trade. And the trade is going to take care of itself, believe me. And just so you understand, I guarantee you that Carrier will call very quickly. And they're going to say what? They're going to say, Mr. President, we're moving back into the United States. We're not going to make this move. We'll move. I guarantee. The problem is our country has let it get too far out of control. It's out of control. So many people are leaving. You have Pfizer is leaving. They're moving to Ireland. You have so many great companies leaving back Pfizer. It's a massive, pharmaceutical company. They're leaving and they're taking thousands and thousands of jobs and letting the people go. And if you look at the jobs reports, which are totally phony, because if you stop looking for a job, you are essentially considered employed. Okay? How many people do you know that stopped looking for a job because they couldn't find it, and then they're just considered employed? So then you hear about 5% unemployment. It's probably 25%. But the one thing even the other side admits is we have all bad jobs now. We have garbage jobs. We don't have good jobs. We have jobs that were not right. The other thing, because of Obamacare and an order having to do with qualification, we have a lot of part-time jobs. Who's working part-time that doesn't want to right now? Yeah. You got a lot of part-time jobs, and these people don't want to work. I know there are some companies where the people were full-time for 25 years. Now they're part-timers, and they go out and get another job. And that has to do solely with Obamacare. So we're going to straighten things out. But what happened is I would talk about trade and I talk about the border. And just to make it official, because we're going to do it even stronger than Mark, and even though he's the strongest, we're going to make this strong, Mark, all right? We're going to build a wall. It's going to be a real wall. We're going to build a wall on our border, and that wall is going to be a very, very effective real wall. About as high as this ceiling. That's a pretty high ceiling. Somebody gets up there, they don't want to come down so quickly. That I can. You ever see now they take cars and they drive right over the top? They drive right over the top. They take the drugs. Bye-bye. So we've had 3 singles so far. I tell you what, where do these people come? You know, I'll tell you what. Oh, we have another one over here, another single. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. I didn't think you had people like that in North Carolina. Get out of here. Hey, you know, folks, it's interesting because I see this, and I like demonstrators. We have fun with it because the only way the cameras ever show how big the crowds are is where there's a demonstrator. Otherwise, they're focused on me. And everybody says to me, did you have much of a crowd? Look at this place as an example. They say, they always say, did you have much of a crowd? But if there's and it took me 3 or 4 times before I realized they didn't, I thought it was fixed equipment. They couldn't move it. It would never move. I'd say, show the crowd, and they'd never move. Then one day, 4 times in, my 4th speech, we had a demonstrator. He was screaming and making fists and all the thing. And those things looked like pretzels the way they moved. They moved beautifully. They were moving. You never saw anything like it. And everyone said, wow, what a crowd. So I love demonstration. I love demonstrators. You're my friends, okay? In fact, if we don't have some, every once in a while I'm going to bring my own demonstrator just to create. And we'll put them up into a corner someplace. But it is true. Nobody has the crowds. We have bigger crowds than Bernie by far. Bernie's going down now anyway. You know, Bernie's over. Sadly, Bernie's over, but he did have the second biggest crowds, but we have the biggest. By the way, 4 times on the cover of Time magazine over the last number of months, which is amazing. Talking about the movement. In fact, this week we're on the cover of Time. I think I was on the cover of Time magazine twice in 30 years, and now I've been like almost, I think it's 4 times in the last 3 or 4 months. Is that good? So that means, see, only in America. That means as you get older, you get better, right? That's what that means. But I'll tell you what, the last story, not the one out this week, which was fine, but the one from 3 weeks ago, the cover of Time, you have to get it. It talks about the movement. This is a movement. We go to Dallas. We go to Mobile, Alabama. We go to all different places. We go up in New Hampshire. We have the biggest crowds they've ever seen. They say that they've never seen anything like this. In the history, and this isn't me speaking, in the history of this country, politically speaking, they've never seen anything like it. And by the way, while I'm at it, folks, will you please go out and vote? You know when you're voting, next Tuesday. Next Tuesday. Not tomorrow, but in a week. You've got to go out. You've got to vote. Otherwise, remember, you all swore to me, most of you, I think almost all of you, but we don't have much of a movement. You know, that's like Muhammad Ali. He was a friend of mine, and Muhammad Ali could, we have another one. Get him out of here. Get out of here. Looks like a nice little guy, actually. Go home to mommy. Go home. Bye. Go home to mommy. Go home to mommy. Tell her to tuck you in bed. He's such a nice guy. Nasty little, I'll tell you, nasty people. Man, are you sure we're in North Carolina? He's a nasty guy. Now, he'll go home to mom now. I love you too, man. I love you too. So, it began, and it really began strongly with trade and borders. And then you had Paris. And then you had the attack in California, the 14, where the two radicalized people came together. And they killed people that threw baby showers for them. 14, many in the hospital. Paris, 130, many so badly hurt.